I think now is when I roll the advertisement for the hair club for men. Is that when this comes in? You too can be. No, don't roll that. You remember that commercial? That's like
I sure do. The Black Mirror. That's a good show.
That would be. Those episodes are great. But yeah, wouldn't that be funny? Oh my God, you and I react to reacting. The Saturday Night Live. Colin Jost and the.
Oh my gosh.
And they write the things, and it's so racist, and it's so funny watching him. He's like, the words are coming out of his mouth. Like, oh my God, I just. Said that, and you're like, I'm like, I can, because I grew up in the 80s in New York, and my best friend, ready? Third. The third. Okay. Dad was a surgeon.
Okay.
But he was the black kid in the school.
The only one.
That's why. And we still stay on just growing up in different times.
Yeah.
And so it's funny when you just said, like, I'm like, I like when we can laugh as
of course.
People, because the world, their generation.
The world sucks.
I'm just going to say their generation is like
soft. Kleenex, tissue, Cottonelle.
You're not raising your kids that way, I can tell.
Hell no.
No. Should we start going? Should we actually? Oh, we are rolling. Oh, shit. Well, there it is. Okay, so maybe I don't need a drink, and it doesn't need to be at 11 o'clock at night. We can do it at 10 o'clock. Hey, cheers. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Cheers, I have to, even though it's good coffee. So
yeah, it's great coffee. It's really good coffee.
Thank you. It's in the DNA of the last name ending in an alphabet letter that we have to know how to make coffee. It's kind of just a rite of passage.
True.
So we have the grinder. It's all in the grind and the temperature. I know. So this could be that's my second podcast is let me make coffee and
it's called On My Grind.
On the grind. Yeah, I like this. See?
All day.
Creative. Already. This is what happens. You get the creative, it happens. So first off, Let me do the introductions. I have Andre Gordon from right here, Four Horsemen Films.
Well, I don't know an Andy, but I do know Andre.
Did I say Andy?
We did.
You know why?
We just joked about the Andres.
We did, and because I have a guy named Andres who just went to Atlanta, but we couldn't always call him Andres, so we called him Andy. And it was Andy, and literally, and I just talked to him, and when we finished that conversation, my thread to come back to you was, there's an Andres, Andy, and
an
Andre. And I literally was going to say, so that's, wow, see, that's what happens when it gets stuck and it rattles out.
It's all good.
Because I'm over 30 and my brain just...
No, you're not.
I know. It's the hair. It throws you off.
The blue hair throws me off.
That's it. Exactly.
Mine was blonde at one point.
Oh, did you really?
I sure did. I just posted it recently. My people didn't believe me. I had blonde curlies.
Nice.
Blonde with black. I was like Hollywood Hogan with the...
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. You know how many people stopped me? This started during COVID. Actually, it started because... Well, truth be told, I wanted to embarrass my kids, right? That's the whole, why do you do anything, life. Right? So I was like, we're going to this concert, if you've heard of BTS, right? Okay, so it's a big thing. It's my daughter's 18th birthday. She's getting angry as I'm saying this because she's like, no, don't out me as a BTS fan, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Of course, I'm drinking and editing and too many tequilas, as everybody knows from this, if you've watched the show. And I went, I have an idea. They're all, and I'm wearing purple.
Yes,
I should have flashed back to when I had this purple a year and a half ago. So I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to dye this thing. And I was like, I don't know why that came up as an idea, but I'm like, I'm going to go dye purple is kind of show my support to all of the fans of BTS. Because I got to admit, I like them too.
Yeah.
So it's happy music. It's good energy, the vibes, and anyway, that's a whole nother story. So I dyed it purple, and my kids looked at me like they wanted to shoot themselves. They're like, "Oh my God!" You know how they the dads that embarrass their kids by showing up at school dressed like the daughter or something. I don't have that, but I was like,
I've done that.
Oh, you have?
I've walked into my my daughter's lunch period in full costume and with a wig and full character. And my nephew and my daughter were at lunch, and they just wanted to die. And it was probably top 5 moments of my life watching them squirm. It was great.
That's fabulous. You know what? I see. That's why we needed to connect.
That's right.
That's amazing. That's so. Well, now speaking of connect, let me go back. Let me ask you about your kind of history, because what I love when I had the chance to, obviously this is our first time meeting, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think that makes this a successful podcast. I'll tell you why. Because everybody I've been on so far, I've had to call up and be like, look, I'm starting a podcast. They're like, everybody's doing a podcast. I mean, I know, but mine's going to be different, right? Yeah, sure it is. Yeah. Anyway, but the more I know, but really I was like, I want to talk about the stories of people in the industry, from influencers, just the entertainment space, because I think the content creator space and when I, because you think of an influencer, and I've been looking at the definition of this for a while, and they've been around forever, like back to Coco Chanel and even before. Like, influencers are actors, they're all this, but content creators is this new niche, if you will, where now you can buy your own camera and or your iPhone and content create. So the reason I mention that is I've been focusing this on how, you only hear the success stories from the marketing company or the PR company. So I'm like, or what's been scripted that they're supposed to say. So I said, I want to get people on here and just, you could talk about anything. There's nothing. It's just literally, it's the Joe Rogan of the entertainment space.
Love it.
Kind of just anything goes. And that being said, so I've called in a bunch of friends, and then Paloma and I were talking, because I'm so blessed to have Pete right out there. And I'm so blessed to have some amazing people around helping me get this thing launched, because it's actually a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot of work. It's like it's a production and then some. So thank God having a production company, but I'm like, this is a lot more than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And so I ran out of friends really quickly. I know that could be that's a big statement unto itself. Why? Yeah, but the moral of the story is Paloma's like, wait, I have an acting teacher. And I went, okay, that sounds great. And then she was like, the one who you coached with and this, and I immediately was like, and I think I told you earlier, I was super impressed, because the feedback, you can tell people know what they're doing in this industry in 2 seconds when you either walk on set or this, or how you look around, you go, okay, they know what's up. And the reason I say that is your comments to her in the email, I was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm like, okay, get in front of the camera. Let's do a retape. And so the reason that immediately impressed me. So the reason I said that is I'm like, Paloma, yeah, I'd love to have him on, because I could tell just by his comments, he knows what he's talking about. So first off, I want to thank you for coming. And that said, I'd love to get into I'd like to stop talking and get into your backstory. So why don't you give kind of everybody, or tell myself as well, how it all started for you, where you grew up, and then kind of how you got into the industry.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me. You could have anybody on, and today is Dre Day. I like it.
There it is.
So I got into the industry back in the day. When I was younger, I was a bit energetic. I would get in trouble in school. I didn't love academic life. I was into choir and all the artistic stuff. So we'll fast forward a little bit. I was politely asked to leave the school I was at, and so I ended up at a different school. My parents said, we have a spot for you. You're going to have an audition at a school called Southwood. It's a magnet school, and you're going to audition.
Where's Southwood at?
It's in Palmetto Bay.
Oh, Palmetto Bay. There you go. Okay.
And I was in West Kendall at the time. So I was going to Hammocks Middle School, and I was, I wasn't focused, let's say. So they said, you're going to have this audition. I'm like, I'm not going to Southwood. Audition. What's an audition? I'm not auditioning. So they said, you have no choice. So I went to the audition. They said, okay, would you please show us your monologue? I was like, I don't have a monologue. I don't have anything. I don't want to be here. I'm just here because my parents said I have to be. And they said, well, can you do anything? I said, all right, I can do an impression. So I did a few impressions. And then thinking I would throw the audition, I just did 3 impressions. I'm not doing a monologue. I got in. And then I was like, okay. And for the first time, the first 3 months, my arms are crossed, legs crossed, eyes crossed. Like, I don't want to do this. And then I slowly, I found some stuff backstage it had me do. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. And then there weren't a lot of guys in acting. And then one day they asked me to read something, and that went over well. And then suddenly I found like where I should be. And then from that, I went to Palmetto, and then I got Silver Knight, and then I got into Florida State BFA, and I was like, well, they took 5 people that year into the program. So I was like, okay, maybe I should really look at this and pursue this. From being at Florida State, I realized like, okay, you know what? I could potentially do something with this. And did a lot of work on stage. I couldn't get cast as often as some of the other actors, so I started producing my own work off stage, like on other theaters around town. That was probably the greatest lesson in college for me, that no one's going to give you anything, so you got to figure it out. And that led me to producing my own work. From Florida State, at the end of my time, I started working at Shakespeare festivals and started getting professional jobs. I remember my first job, I played Caliban in The Tempest, and they gave me a check for $750. And I was like, you're paying me? I get money? $750, college kid. That's like $1 million.
Oh, more.
Back then, in the 90s? No, it's 2001. Wow, I'm old. 2001 doesn't sound too long ago, but that's 20 plus years ago.
No, you can't right now with that, because that just happened to me the other day, and I'm like, yeah, and no, my gosh.
Wait, were any of you alive in 2001? Okay, one of you.
I think you were born in 2000.
You were just born. Oof.
Oh, guys, see what I mean? Wow. No, don't, because I got you by at least a year. 1 year. Okay, maybe 18 months, but not much. Anyway.
Well, anyway, I left Florida State. I went. I did some work in London. And then I wanted to go to L.A. Mm-hmm. That's where I wanted to be.
Well, that was where everybody, the pilgrimage, right? The
funny thing is, like, the other 4 in my group, they're like, we're going to Broadway. We're going to be Broadway stars. And I was like,
oh, from theater aspect, right. I'm sorry.
But I said no. I can't. You can't make money in theater.
Thank you.
I need to live. Mm-hmm. So I was the only one that went to L.A., and the rest of them went to New York. And in L.A., I quickly found out, once again, no one's going to give you anything. Nobody cares about your degree. No one cares anything other than what can you do, who do you know, and how well can you do it, and are you somewhat normal? Because there's so many weird, crazy people out there. They want to know, are you crazy?
Boy, this goes back into so many conversations I've had where it's how you slate on self-tapes, all the different... By the way. Yeah, I should put links below to all this sort of stuff and what you're saying. And even what you just said gave me a flashback real quick because I want to come back. But I had a very interesting conversation, and I'm not name dropping, but since we're on the podcast. So a friend of ours is Eric Roberts. And the reason I bring that up is he just finished with Margot Robbie in Babylon. The movie Babylon that came out, that was a financial, I would say, financially it was not a win, but I went and saw it, and my kids as well, because when you're in the industry, you walk away from that movie going, it was amazing. Yeah. Because it was an homage to theater and film and the crossover. Because what you said is, back in the day, theater was highbrow, and that's where the money was made, and film was like, oh, you like whatever, and there was no money in it, and obviously, and this is real history, so it's funny, here it is, you understood where now it's inverted, where yes, you can make some money in theater, don't get me wrong, but if you are successful in film, it's much more of a financially rewarding business. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. So yes, go back to LA, but I just had to insert that to say, but that whole, because we talked about, Eric, going back to Eric and I, we're talking about just how the industry, because he's a legend, he's almost, he's older as well. He's got me by a few years. and just how the industry changed, and he's watched it, and now they made this movie. And so it's funny you just brought that point up, because a lot of people come from acting and they study theater in school as opposed to film acting. And I want to talk about the differences, but finish, please. I'm sorry.
I was actually thinking too, I think I've produced a film with Eric Roberts, maybe 2. I'm not sure.
You got to go back. I know.
I have to go back and look, but I do. I think I've done 1 or 2 with him. But now I'm like, what is it? Maybe you can look it up.
Yeah, we'll find.
Eric Roberts on IMDb. See if I feel like we've worked. I think I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe in one of the Cross movies. But anyway.
Okay.
So I got to LA and I started out doing extra work. I was on ER and I was super excited because you call a number. They have your picture on file And if you look right now, central casting.
Oh my gosh.
And if you look right, they'll say, okay, it'll show up here. And then I was like, that was easy.
Right.
$150 at the time. I was like, this is great. Actually, no, it was non-union, so it was $54, but I was still excited. So I did that for a long time. And then as I started doing more work, I really wanted to see how set worked in LA.
Oh, I think that's the most valuable.
That was super invaluable to me because I didn't know. I knew how theater worked, but I didn't know. You found it?
So you were in a horror movie with him.
Which one?
Wedding Day.
Oh yeah, I wrote and directed that. That's why.
There you go. So you do know Eric Rowe. There. All right. So,
I found the link. Gotcha.
but I think I was in another one with him too.
we'll have to put that. But look at that. They're all our research, our craft. I like this because in the morning, everybody's actually on point. But when we're doing these at 10, 11 at night, we're drinking. Everybody's zoned out. So we got a crack research team right over. I like this.
You like it. I like it.
Good. All right.
I'll just, not to belabor the story from extra work. I really just decided I don't want to be moving furniture, which is what extras. Yeah, that's what I was.
Right.
I want to be on the creative side. So there's two things I did. Number one, I started networking and meeting as many people as I could. Number two, I started producing my own short films in 2005, before YouTube was actually YouTube.
Right.
And I did one film, a short film called Black Inside, about a black guy who's coming out of the closet about being white. He thinks he's white, and he's really, his friends thinks he's white. He knows he's black, but everyone thinks that he's white, and he's coming out about being black.
That's great.
It went viral at the time. Like
I was going to say, now imagine now.
Oh my gosh, I'd get canceled.
Yeah, and there'd be some identity thing where you wouldn't be canceled because
True.
people would be like, no,
that's true. They'd be like, no, leave him alone.
No, it's okay.
Don't laugh though.
Don't laugh. That's how he feels. See, I'm going to identify as a black man now from here on out.
And you can be black inside.
Right, in your
I was Remington Wallace Burnett.
Oh, that not way.
That's why I thought of the name. Oh my goodness.
That's great.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that got me into the industry, and I had my first meeting with an agent, and at the meeting, I only had maybe $11, and I saw a homeless guy who asked me for money. I didn't want to give him my money because I only had $11. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'll buy you. My favorite burger is a number 12 from Johnny Rockets.
Oh.
And I was hungry, but this guy was hungry, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a good thing. I'm going into a meeting. Let me buy this guy number 12. I bought him a number 12. And bring the guy the number 12. It smells so good, Victor. I hand the guy the number 12. I said, I couldn't give any money, but I got you lunch. He takes the burger from me. He looks at it. I walk away. Kid you not. He throws it at the back of my head. He says, what am I going to do with this? I can't drink this. And I look at the burger on the floor, and I think, does the 5-second rule apply to the outside? Because that was all I had left. Anyway, wow. I go up to the meeting, and the agent said, hey, you know what? I watched that whole thing happen down there with you buying the guy that burger, and he threw it at you. I want to sign you. I haven't seen you do anything, but I want to sign you because I like your heart, kid. And that got me started.
Wow.
And then she ended up being an agent at William Morris later on. So she called me when she was with William Morris. You've always been great. You've always been nice to me. I'm at William Morris. You want to come with me? Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was just how I treated people, really. And then, I did good work. But,
right.
But a lot of people do good work. But a lot of people are jerks.
Yeah.
So it made a difference. And that was my start.
Well, that's incredible. You did leave out London, though.
London, yes. You know what? So at Florida State, my last year at Florida State, I was going to play Othello at the one of the theaters in Tallahassee. And I really wanted to immerse myself in Shakespeare.
Okay. So
I had an aunt and an uncle who lived in Essex, and I did the theater complicité joint program with FSU. But after the program ended, I decided to stay, and I studied Shakespeare. I went to the Globe Theater. I took classes. I watched so much Shakespeare and so much theater. I went to Shakespeare's house. It was amazing. Came back feeling cultured, and did Othello feeling like, you know what, I at least had some background of maybe how he intended it to be by being there for a year. And a year in the span of, in the context of life is not a long time, but I felt like that was a lot of time to prepare for a project
Very immersive.
that a college,
Right.
A college grad was doing. And I think that really taught me also how to prepare and take roles seriously, which prior to that, prior to Florida State, I didn't really take much seriously. And, that's how most young guys are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but that's what I love about that is like you said, you show up on set and you learn so much.
Gotta learn.
There's something about the immersion. You can read a book about how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
That's not going to really help you ride a bicycle. No. You need to get on the bicycle. You need to fall a bunch of times. And I think that goes back to what you were just saying about the agent. The agent knows that they can only send a certain amount of people. So if they can send a certain amount of people, they want to make sure that, like you said, a lot of people can do the job. But what sets you aside?
Right.
Your personality,
right.
Who you are, because that's this industry, as we were saying, is whether it's an influencer, now content creator, everybody kind of uses those terms interchangeably, but I think really content creator is I wouldn't say social media. It's blurring so much, which is good. But the reason I go back to that is when you have when everybody's got a pulpit now, as opposed to back in the day, there was kind of for good and bad, a walled garden, if you will. And, and I think maybe agents did their best to only work with the best people that they could, right? Obviously we've seen in the news that, things happen, but that's just life. There's never perfect. So I think that back in the day, to get an agent to really get behind you is, especially, now it's WME, right? And now Endeavor and all the different groups and all that. So
and I'll tell you what too. I went to another meeting for a different agent, and I got in the elevator and I was just talking to this dude and just asking how he's doing and have a good conversation. And we got up to the top of the elevator, stopped, and he's like, "So where are you headed?" And I said, "I'm going to go meet an agent." I told him the agent I was meeting. He's like, "Oh, that's me. We've had an interview this whole elevator ride, and I like you. So come on in." And again, I was like, "Man, you never know who you're talking to."
Oh my, 100%, 100%.
And how you treat people matters. And even if I just had ignored him, not did anything rude, but just ignored him, is different than engaging, saying hello, looking someone in the eye,
right,
asking how they're doing, genuinely interested, which I try to be present in every moment that I'm in, because you never know when the next moment's not going to be here. So I try to really connect when I can, because every moment's a gift. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're missing out. So many times we're buried in our phone in other people's lives, and I want to live my own life. I don't want to watch someone else's life happen.
That's where the excitement is, putting it down. And
yes.
That's it. Yeah, I'm getting choked up on that. No, but no, you're so right. Especially being a father, as I know you are as well. You start taking a moment and going, okay, when I grew up versus what this is now with the social media, it's a double-edged sword, just like everything. And I know, there's a big sigh. I get it.
I have a family group text. I sent them a message this morning, and I said, here's what I want us to try. I said, just today, I want us to put the phone down as often as we can. Love on each other as much as we can. Be kind to each other as hard as we can, because what we have in our family is different. And people may look at us and be like, why are they always laughing? Why are they so happy? But part of it is us being connected, and part of that connection is not being buried in our phone. So let's try for the next 30 days to put our screen down and do something productive instead. Whether it's talking to one another, whether it's creating something, whether it's shooting something, or filming something. But I feel like that is a big part of what I'm trying to do with my family, because everybody is buried in the phone. And I see people losing the art of connection.
It's you know what? It's funny you bring this up. I wasn't prepared for this. However, for the past little bit of time, I'm working on a project myself, and I've been researching young teen, late teen, and romance and Japanese culture, American this, and I'm seeing this incredible. If you start watching it, there's a lot of this loneliness trend going on in the young people. And what's crazy about it is they're starting to link a lot of this to being, like you said, there's no communication. They're stuck here. They're thinking. And I remember it was before our time, and you like how I made us similar ages? You like how I did that? But before my time, cigarettes were not bad for you. right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That propaganda.
Uh-huh.
Well, the propaganda now is like, oh, the cell phone. We still don't know. It took how many years to prove and all this. So you know that these devices, yes, they're very good on many different ways, but they're without hand guide rails, without speed limits, without all this stuff. And it's really, I think, affecting so many things in society right now that that I commend you for that, because I think that's one of the biggest problems. I myself actually kind of lived through it a little bit with about a year ago, a little over. I had my Instagram, and I got it back like 10 years ago, back when Instagram just like it started. I'm like, oh, let me just put some stuff. I had like a bunch of followers, not a lot, thousands of followers, and then I was doing something and it got like it hacked. I got blocked, and I was like, oh, let me set up. And then a few months later, after fighting, I just kind of was like, I gave up, and I can tell you, it has been incredible how a year later, people ask for my Instagram, I'm like, hey, here you go. But I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how much time you spend.
Yes.
And this is me.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, my God, anyhow, yes. So that's a conversation. So I want to hear about, I'm going to be calling you in 30 days, being like, how'd it go?
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
a lot of the tech guys back in the day, or still today, say they won't let their kids on social media. They won't let them have phones.
My kids don't have social media.
There you go. So
And now they're like, I don't need it anymore. I'm like, yes, I won.
Right.
For now.
Yeah. No, because life happens outside.
Yeah.
We see that. It's just kind of like, it's a healthy thing. My kids actually just got back from LA, and they actually went to Yosemite and saw the beauty. I was watching the pictures, and then I'm like, okay, this is great. Like you're using your phone to take pictures.
Yes,
and
you're
live it.
experiencing
Yeah,
life.
your experience in life is. Anyway, I think we went on a tangent, but I just got so excited about it because what you just said is this whole trend in with social media and what's going on and content creating and where it's blending and what's good and what's bad and how long you're on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're fixing that in this podcast.
No,
but anyway,
no. But we do have a creative spirit, a creative kindred heart to make stuff, and that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to create projects. First, I was creating projects just to eat because I need it. In LA, it's tough.
Starving artists.
It's a jungle out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a moral compass and integrity and the stuff that you won't do, it's not easy to continue to work. But I, stuck to my guns, and I decided, so this project right here, the one with Morgan Freeman, so Make-A-Wish Foundation.
I love Morgan Freeman.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
He's the talent in that man.
Morgan Freeman is amazing. I got a call from Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they asked if I could create a video for 2 terminally ill kids. And I said, instead of creating a video, why don't I make a movie? They were like, well, that would be great. So I wrote the script with at the time, my producing partner, Stephanie Japro, and we wrote this movie. And I was like, let's make this exciting. So when I produce movies, part of the reason people would bring me on is because I have access to some talent. So I called up some talent that I knew. I said, hey, I'm doing this movie. It's free, but it's for a great cause. So I just finished directing David Koechner in Wedding Day. He came on. Judith Hogue came on. Catherine Houston, God rest her soul. Ed Begley Jr. came on, and we shot the film. Kodak, they donated 35 millimeter film. We shot it on 35, which is
oh wow, that's cool,
unheard of. Right?
Yeah.
The crew, the set, everything was donated. It was really cool. Bobby J. Thompson came on. 2 more kids from Make-A-Wish were added to the project. It became this huge thing. We finished the movie. It's locked. We're about to export. I get a phone call. Hello, Mr. Gordon. I have Mr. Freeman for you. What? I'm like, what?
You're like, excuse me. Yeah, right.
Yes. And it was actually his one of his reps and said, so he'd like to do your movie. But here's the deal. He has 30 minutes next week. You'd have to come to our studio and set up here and figure out how to work him in based on the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And
no problem. You're like, oh boy, right?
30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I hang up and I'm like, don't export. And I told my editor, that was Morgan Freeman's company. He's going to do the movie. And I was like, okay. Immediately, I called the crew. And by the way, the crew had also just finished another movie on here. So they were all on vacation. So I called and said, guys, come back. We have this project. I need 1 day with you to get Morgan. I made him the narrator because Morgan narrating.
That's right.
We shot in a corner of his studio for 30 minutes, and the thing just elevated. It was amazing. ArcLight through Premiere for all the kids and all of us. Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, they covered it. The kids got the whole 9 yards of feeling like they're a part of something great. Yeah. One of the kids is now he did film at UCLA, so he made it through. And wow, three of them actually made it through, and it was a huge success. And so I endeavor to do film and projects that can make some sort of difference, have some sort of a message, and not always have to do films that just pay the bills.
I was going to say, it's so rewarding. I could see it in your eyes how rewarding that was as you were going through that story. Like,
it was amazing.
As opposed to it's a paycheck or whatever. That one you could see, and
that was different.
Yeah,
that one was different.
So that's a great point, because like you said, paying the bills versus how do you balance and then help everybody who's watching us if that's the one person, right? No, I'm just hopefully you get more than one person. Hi, exactly. Exactly. Hi, whoever I have to pay to watch me, but they'll watch. But the reason I say that is what advice do we give to the younger generation? Like you said, they're on the grind. They got to make money. We know how hard it is, but there's also the passion projects and the balance. So I'd love your thoughts on, because you're in it today, and you like you said, you grew up in it.
Yeah.
So what's some advice?
So I think the first thing you have to do, it's funny, I was just talking with my producing partner on the way up, and I said, it's been 20 plus years, and the key number one is you can't give up. If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Right? Except for me.
Hold on. Wait, I was going to say. Okay, where else other than a barbershop?
Hang around the bakery, you're going to get a croissant.
There you go.
So that's number one, you can't give up. But number two, I think you really have to know what type of content you want to make. And you have to have a standard that you're not willing to compromise. So I think when you have your own personal mission statement and you have your own level of integrity that you're not willing to compromise from a creation standpoint, that helps you know what direction you're facing. If you know what direction you're facing, then you know which way to go. Because you can face any direction and head the wrong way. But if you know which way you're going, then you can at least stay on track. So that's number one. Number two, the way that you make money, I feel it's very important. So I've always tried to make money in entertainment. When I first got to LA, I worked at Universal Studios. I played the Nutty Professor. I wore a fat suit. I did the Hercules, the fake thing. I did the whole
I just saw
thing.
it right there.
Every day out in the hot 115 degree, 110 give LA, doing these live sets as Sherman Clump. It was, I made $20 an hour, and that's a lot back then.
Back then, yeah.
20. I mean, right now, shoot, that's all the money.
Yeah, hiring.
So I did that. I did background work. I learned other skills. So everyone's like, "Oh, I want to be an actor." That's great. A lot of people want to be an actor, but I also had to learn how to direct. I'm in the DGA now for directing, and that didn't come because I was like, "Oh, I want to be a director." But I needed to have skills because a lot of times behind the camera can get you work and get you on set to meet people that can make your other dreams come true. I learned how to produce first because I needed to produce because no one would make it for me. I learned how to write. I'm actually getting an MFA in writing. Even though I've written and sold scripts, I'm still learning.
And I believe you're going to try and pitch a script right now.
So I finished.
Yeah, we've only got you for another 15 minutes or so.
Yes, there's a movie that I've written. And it's a Christmas film, and I feel like, we've lost the art of the Christmas classic. We haven't had a Christmas classic since It's a Wonderful Life, really, in 1965. So I'm determined to bring back the art of Christmas cinema, and that's starting with this movie.
I can't believe you said that, because I made a promise a few years ago to somebody in my family, very near and dear to me, who said, I love these Christmas Hallmark movies. And I went, I will make one. Because I'm that same, you turn it on during the holidays and you just get that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
So, well, maybe you guys just witnessed it here. I don't know. There may be something in our future. Anyway, go ahead. Good. So
yeah, and I'm excited now. I'll tell you, Hallmark made 145 Christmas movies in 2021, and my problem has been I can't name one of them.
Yeah. Oh no, because they're all
the same, right? So now I'm like,
that's
okay.
what I feel like with anyway.
Yeah. So that's an
our
opportunity,
industry, right? Yes, because everything, and this is no slam on Netflix, but you turn on a lot of these shows and everything looks like it was. It's like,
I know.
Is that the same? Like you almost can't. It's just a formula, and it's just so everybody. Yeah. So as much as I think AI will help in certain aspects, thank God that the AI is not, because it's just going to continue to give us more crap. The noise level goes up. It's just we get more. It's just crap. So now it's even more you got to filter through. So anyway, go please. But yeah,
but that's what with the noise rising and becoming louder, I think let's liken it to darkness. When things are super dark, like a pinpoint of light grabs your attention. Mm-hmm. And right now, not that everything's dark, although a lot is, but I think the parallel between the level of not mediocrity, similarity between all the films is like darkness. It's everywhere. Yeah, everything's the same.
Everything looks
So I'm looking to poke a hole in the sheet of the night to be a star that people can be like, oh, that's something different.
Right. What? Yeah. Exactly.
What is that? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hoping to do with Christmas films to elevate what we've been given and take it back to something of depth and something of immense moral value that can be turned on every single year, where people can feel like this is a movie that I can watch with my family every year. It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Story are the only two movies that are played 24/7 on repeat on two separate dedicated networks. Two in the history of movies.
It's amazing when you say it. I'm realizing it now.
Look at all the opportunity. So that's where I'm working on right now.
Right. To get something out there positive, I can tell that's going to be Yeah,
and I've made You Can't Have It. It's not positive. It's they're trapped in a bar. It's the last night of a bar and someone dies. It's a whodunit. Mm-hmm. Wedding Day. They're trapped in it's a wedding and it gets taken hostage.
Right.
In Vino, I produced that. Ed Asner's one of his last films. I'm in it. There's my big old 5 head. They're in a haunted house. Yeah. So I mean, there are definitely the commercial movies that I've made. Cross. It's a superhero B-C movie. But so I feel like I've done that, and I can still do that, and that's fine. But I do want to, branch and do stuff that my kids can watch. My kids are young,
right?
I don't want them to be like, oh, Daddy, can we watch that with you? Yes, I want to say no when they ask, can we watch that? Can we watch the movie you made?
Right.
I don't want to say no.
Soon.
Yeah.
When you're older.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting to see all the content and everything, and I think as we evolve as content creators, and that's what I like. I look and say it's interesting because you just went fast through that. You joined the DGA, or you're part of the DGA. Like you've really hit on a lot of different pieces from from theater. Yeah. Obviously, Shakespeare. You've done your homework, as they say, right? Yeah. You started off as a young man in school who said I've got to find a different path, and then from theater to like we just said, you said I'm going to go out and do the grind and learn, and then you joined the DGA, which is not easy to get into.
It's hard.
That's what I was going to say. Once you explain to people that what that even entailed and how your journey, because that's not trivial.
Yeah, the DGA, 2% of the world is in the DGA, and of that 2%. Maybe 0.5 are directors. Mm-hmm. There's UPMs, there's second ADs, first ADs, there's all the different departments. I directed a film. What was it called? It's so funny. I don't want to trivialize all the projects, but when you this is all I've done. So sometimes I have to catalog it. Mm-hmm. There's a film that I directed. Actually, it was starring James Caan, who is now no longer with us. Incredible actor. It was a crew that I did You Can't Have It with them. And then with Armando Sante, and then that same crew, we went to Mississippi and filmed now it's called Dark Harvest, but I don't remember the name at the time. Anywho, the production company that was creating the film, they wanted me to direct it, and the UPM was in the Directors Guild. The first and second idea were in the Directors Guild, and you can't just join. You have to have work that's of guild. Mm-hmm. Then there's a fee that has to be paid, which is enormous.
Yeah, it's a big fee. It's a big fee. It's a used car fee.
It is a used car fee.
Used car fee.
So you have to have a project that's determined to go guild, and then there's a fee you've got to pay. And getting a chance to direct a feature is hard. Mm-hmm. Getting a chance to direct a feature that is union is extremely hard. But if your destiny is to do something, there's always a way. God always makes a way for me. That's just how it's been for me. And they decided, we're going to do this union, and we're going to pay for your fee.
Wow.
And then I was in.
That's awesome.
And then I was in. So I'm in SAG-AFTRA. I'm in DGA. Next for me is WGA.
No, wow. That's very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I'm loving the journey, and that's what I think this is as a creator. It's a journey. It's some of the projects like you said. I could see you looking. There was probably one or two Alan Smitty's in there.
Oh yeah,
we all have got those, and then a few that everybody's going to be Googling. I'm not going to tell them what Alan Smitty is. Yeah, that's and they'll be like, my son's probably dying back there, but. Well, you see, they did I don't know. Jade's explaining. My kids will explain. Palom's like, what is it? What is it? What do they mean? Anyway, but yeah, and I think that's the great part about this industry is you can do it.
Yeah.
For your whole life.
Yes. Yeah. I was. Again, I'm always trying to learn. I talked to James Caan. I asked about his journey. Armand asked about his journey. Ed Begley, working for me. I try and ask these guys so. Tell me about your journey. Some of them started young. Some of them started much older. Mm-hmm. Some of them got their start. I'm not even there yet.
Right.
So just being a part of it and continuing and finding a way. I produce for a university, and I think that right there, just staying sharp in my skills. So I'm not above the work. I'm not above the learning. And I've done it all. I've made shorts. I've had podcasts. I've done features. I've written. I've produced. I've done live shows. So I think the lesson that anyone who is listening is to say yes, learn, and then figure out what it is you can take from that experience that you can put towards your manifest goal.
It's funny you say that. One of my favorite things, and you see it in business and all the time. It's how you view life and situations and whether you answer with a yes and then figure out, maybe the yes moves to a maybe and then to a no, but as opposed to there's so many people just immediately, do you want no? And you're like, now how do you get anywhere in life without, and I think that's what's interesting about this industry and different things and the collaborativeness.
Yes.
And since I'm gonna switch it up for a second because it just made me think when we say yes and then you think about I'll call them suits because I have a background as a suit as well, so I can make fun of the suits and the bean counters. But the reason I say that is you have the creatives and then you have the bean counters and you have what's going on with the strikes and what's happening now. Yeah. So I'd love your thoughts because you have a perspective being in the industry and on all sides, right?
Yes.
I was a friend of mine who's the head of New York Film Academy was on, and we were talking about, just kind of what opportunities in the strike versus the others. And I think that I don't want to put my words on it. I'd love your thoughts on what you think's going on, the inflection point we're in the industry right now.
So I think there's a lot of money to be had. And I think that the point of business is to earn and to make as much money as you can for yourself. And I think that studios are trying to do that. I think the strike there's several opportunities from an acting standpoint. When the WGA strike hit and there was no work, I said, now's my time to sharpen my reel, to get my pictures in order, to start putting together my own projects that I want to, there's nothing going on. So I might as well, open up my notebook and see if I could get some stories down so that when the strike is over, I can, see what I can do. And that's what's happened. I have a meeting today. I took the time during the strike to really create. But I think from a business standpoint, I think that the writers were smart to say, we have a story to tell, several stories to tell. And the studios, you want these stories. If you want these stories, we believe that you're going to have to take certain things into consideration. The biggest sticking point from the actors and the writing standpoint was the use of AI. As an actor, to have my body scanned and then put it in another film and then not pay me, or first of all, just to take my image, put it in another film, and then try and pay me half a rate and use it in perpetuity, that's ridiculous. So, and for the writers, you've seen the contract change as far as the impact of streaming networks. When cable came out, network television changed. Now streamers have come out and cable network has changed. Now AI has come out and I think they said, hey, each time something new's come out, we've gotten a shorter end of the stick. And I said, not this time. And so I think it was brilliant. For the actors, there's a bit of a challenge because you have people who are wealthy, who make a ton of money, who maybe this doesn't hurt them financially because they're not working, they have money. You have people who I would say are middle class actors. I'd say those who are on, a Disney show, a Nickelodeon show. They're making good money and they are living from their check to check. And it probably really affects them because they're out of work.
Right.
Then you have the actors who honestly don't work a lot. Most actors don't work.
I was going to say that's probably upwards of 80, 90%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe it affects them less, but it does give them something to rally around and that they can hope that one day they will be in the position where when they are working, the deal does affect them. I think the solidarity of the unions coming together is great. I think you don't get rich on demand. I think you have to offer something. Mm-hmm. And I think that this has shown, number one, the studios that the writers have something to offer. They're not willing to compromise. And now the actors, we're having to stay together and say, we have something to offer too. And you can't just take any deal that's given to you. Now, the background performers and the principal performers have the same vote, and maybe their stakes are different. Maybe that's something to look at. I'd have to look at the intricacies of the contract. But I think all in all, they each need to stay together and say, hey, whether we're background, foreground, whatever it is, let's wait until we have a deal that really benefits us all long term before we move forward. The studios, I think, as a producer, I looked at this and I said, all right, they probably have content through August. This is when it started.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, I think it ended in August, right? Maybe July?
Right. Yeah, right around there.
August.
I think. Yeah, and there's still signing.
The
crossing T's and dot. Yeah.
So I was like, the writers are probably going to get a deal in August. And so now the challenge is, now they're back writing. So the studios are going to have content and stuff to fill the pipeline through maybe February, March. I think that the actors have to know that November is Thanksgiving holiday, December is the other holidays, January is New Year's. Those 3 months don't really count for them. Mm-hmm. They're going to be off anyway.
Yep.
So really the patience is going to have to start again at the end of January, February. And I think the producers know that, like, the rest of this year's a wash, so we're not going to agree to any terms.
Right.
And see how it starts off in the spring. So we'll see. I think eventually they're going to have to come to a deal because they're losing out on the big names. They're trying to get around it by going to Europe and filming some stuff in Europe, which you can.
I know some people over in Thailand who just dipped over there, and it's weird what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
Now, they've created an alternate contract that is under the agreement that they want the studios to agree to, some independent films. So that is giving opportunities for work, and it's showing that this agreement can work for studios if it's working for these production companies.
Right.
So hopefully that brings some resolution to the situation. I think it will. It's not going to last forever.
No.
But, in the meantime, I don't even worry about it. I'm like, all right, I got to make my own. I got to keep working.
Well, that's, I think, what you just said. Everybody in the creative space didn't stop.
Right.
And they're all out there. And just because the marketing machine and the suits and the people, but I think, like you said, people are going to go find that content, whether it's with some incredible companies like A24 with all these different projects that they've, everywhere, everything, or smaller ones. And so I think if you think about it, what do they really bring to the table if the writers and the actors are the content creators? They're the distribution, and people will find a way to distribute it. Or so it's very interesting of what you're saying, because I'm in the same spot. I'm literally heading to Japan to go start filming my project in December, because I'm taking advantage of the window when nobody else is kind of like, I'm like, hey, I can get some great people. So it's very interesting that you bring that up, and I wanted your take on it, because I think that it brings an opportunity to small producers and directors, and or when I say small, not the mega studio stuff that have $100+ million budgets to, what I mean. So. Well, very interesting. So, all right. So we got to wrap up because you have a meeting and a script to sell.
Yes.
We're putting out there. Anything you want to, anything I didn't ask you that you think would be very valuable to anybody who's watching from the production standpoint, the director, because you're sitting on so many sides of it. I'll let you give the closing thought that you want.
My closing thought is don't wait for it to be perfect to start. I think a lot of people don't finish the script because they want it to be perfect. They don't start filming because they want it to be perfect. I'm working on a short that I wrote just, again, to stay sharp, and actually Paloma's in it. And I said to her and Andrew, one of the other actors, hey, I may have you guys come together. We're just going to do a test shoot and just see how it plays. And then, we can go back again. And I said, I want to practice. I want you guys to really connect. And then when I feel like you guys have really connected, we can lock in a final firm film date. But up to that point, I'm like, hey, let's just keep working on it. Let's work it. They're rehearsing. Let's shoot some test days. Let's do some still photography. Let's stay active. So staying active to me is my final word. Stay active. Don't give up. Know where you're going.
You know what? Ditto. I'm doing a table read on Saturday.
I love it.
See, there's your takeaway, everybody. You can't stop. You don't stop.
Can't stop, won't
right?
stop.
And with that, we have the. I think now is when I roll the advertisement for the Hair Club for Men. Is that when this comes in? You too can be. No, don't roll that. You remember that commercial? That's I
sure do.
That's it. Well, with that said, I know you need to go. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was so enjoyable. I'm not going to say, next time there will be alcohol in here, but I have a rule not to drink before noon, except for good coffee.
Good coffee.
And thank you, Dre. It's honestly been my pleasure. I thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. We will get you back here. You guys all tune in and, hopefully get some value, give us some comments below. We'll put some your links, and I want to say thank you so very much for educating everybody out there, and yay, everybody round here. Woo! Thank you. And that being said, and and I have this guy who's literally hanging out next to us. I think you wanted to be on the podcast too.
What up, dog?
Say what up, give him what's up. He's been down here the whole time. I literally looked over. It's like he's sleeping down here. You ready? He was so quiet.
What a dog.
What a dog. What a dog.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.